Hello, everyone. We're going to give it one more minute before we're going to get started. Still see people jumping in. One more minute. You're right. I should have moved that one. Thanks for the comment. That was quite distracting. Hopefully this is better now. So, hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are, to another roadmap update for Inforcer Q2. We have a lot to cover today, and thank you so much for joining. What we're going to do is it's going to be Freddie and myself today as hosts, taking you through a couple of things. One, what are some of the things you might have missed? There's been a lot going on in Enforcer's world. If you're not thinking and dreaming about Enforcer like we do every single day, you might have missed it. You might have blinked and missed it. So we're going to show you some things, and then we're also going to talk a little bit about what else is coming in this quarter. And as always, we like to do a lot of Q&A. This is also a great chance for you to interact with us. And it's not just Freddie and myself here on the call today. It's we also have Roy handling some of the chat questions, and I think both of us will also answer chat questions throughout, but also at the end, we'll probably have some time for Q&A. So use the Q&A box for anything that you want to know, or let us know if you like what we're doing on the things that we're presenting. All right, with that out of the way, let me just jump in. For us, I think it's really important to emphasize that whatever we're doing on Enforcer, it's very much based around your feedback, right? So every decision we make around the roadmap generally revolves around looking at what people are asking for in our feature-based system, on a public feature request system, but also in conversations with you every single day. And then when you look at what our engineering team is doing, it's quite remarkable. Like we have like an incredible team that is working so hard to build and innovate rapidly. And it allows us to be very responsive to your needs. And when I look back at the last year, and I mean, it really depends on when you joined us as an enforcer. Some of you might have been with us for a long time, but the velocity, the trajectory has been really, really remarkable. Every single month, with the exception of August there, I must confess that, like I think a lot of people had a break then, but has been filled with major features. Like the green boxes here are major features that we shipped in that given month, and the orange boxes are new settings or policies that we started to support. So there's been a lot there. And for me, it's always really important to emphasize this because there's no better indication of what's to come than looking back at what was delivered, right? This is a real track record. So in the last couple of months, we've really fleshed out the platform in many different ways. So we introduced things like our API, our scheduling engine last month, our new backup engine, user management, GDAP management, PSA, Autotask, and other PSA integration. There's been so much, and we'll cover some of them in a bit more detail today. And it really indicates where this product is going. At the same time, we've been adding new policies and settings in areas where you need it. And this is not on any of that going to slow down. So what we're going to talk about today is again more of this. Like there's going to be a lot of change, a lot of improvement, a lot of new features in Enforcer, and hopefully to the delight of all of you. So when I look at our roadmap, we're thinking about three major themes today. The first one is around securing all your M365 tenants, like the heart of Enforcer, the ability to standardize all your tenants, making them more secure, to roll them out quickly. That's not going away. That's the heart. That's where we started, and I think we have a lot of work still to do there to make that the best we can make it. But on top of that, we're now seeing more and more people use Enforcer every single day to do some of their daily Microsoft management. Like multi-tenant management is just pretty difficult to just do that in the Microsoft portals. So we're building the tools for support people and sometimes even for salespeople to use or get information in an efficient way. And then the third thing, and we'll talk about that, we have some really exciting things there today, is around helping you on your AI journey. Like the world is quickly moving into uncharted territory. The AI is changing the world right now. Many MSPs are scrambling. Like, what are we going to do there? How do we build a business around AI or Microsoft Copilot in this way? And how do we make sure it's more than just reselling a license? And that's what we're focused on as well. So today we'll do a deep dive in all these areas, and yeah, we'll do some really cool demos as well. All right. So let me start with the first chapter, right? Securing all your tenants. There's been a lot that was changed in the last quarter. For one, we introduced new licenses, right? And you might argue, well, that's how is that a big game changer? Well, the reality is that we see a lot of feedback from our customers saying we'd like to deploy Enforcer everywhere. We want Enforcer on every single tenant, but sometimes it just doesn't make sense, right? If you have a business standard tenant, doesn't really make sense to deploy the whole Enforcer product, because a lot of what Enforcer does for you is Defender and Intune and others. Sometimes you have customers that are not paying for your services. They might be prospects, or they might be you might just be reselling licenses too. And for those different use cases, we've developed new licenses, like the tenant assessments license and the tenant standard license are there, and now also available in self-service. So you can, this is something we changed in January. You can just buy or add new licenses from within Enforcer. This has been really helpful for many MSPs, but it talks about the goal that we have, which is we want to help you with all your tenants. Similarly, and I think one of the biggest game changers for many of you was the new Enforcer blueprint baselines that we launched. This has also been March, time flies. A lot of our customers said, we need help. Building baselines is pretty difficult, especially if you start including things like Intune. Microsoft is changing all the time, and if you don't have your own team that have built this for years, it's pretty difficult to get started. It might take you a couple of months even. So we brought the best people we have together and had them build the blueprint baselines, which is clearly inspired by CIS, but CIS is pretty rigid. It's not always like the best practice for MSPs. It's not always useful and usable. So it also, what we've done here is make it so that you can subscribe to our baselines. You can pick and choose whatever you want, and you can use those best practices across all your tenants. But I think that one of the best examples of what we did here is the packaged projects. So many of you might sell mobile application management or email protection as a project, might not be in your core offering. Well, what we've done is build policies for all of that and package it up in a custom baseline, in a baseline that you can just subscribe to, and you can have one tenant now, of course, aligned to multiple baselines, and you can easily roll out those projects. It's a really meaningful change, and I see a lot of you already use this. And for us, we're going to keep our people on this. We're going to keep investing in updating the baselines. When we later this month add more functions to more policies or settings to Enforcer, we're going to update our baselines to just make sure you stay on top of all of this all the time. Also in March, the new backup and restore engine. If you haven't checked this out, definitely go and click on a tenant and look at backup and restore. This is a really amazing feature. This is like we call it backup and restore, but it's the ultimate drift management solution. Really, you can go back to the beginning of time of when you, at least when you enrolled your tenant, and scroll through a timeline and see all the changes, all the new policies, the updated policies, the deletions, and go back and undo anything. If you wanted to, at least you can see what's going on. But the new system is quite sophisticated. Before we had like big backups that we'd run every night. Now, every time you click on a tenant in Enforcer, we make a snapshot. So every time you go to alignment, every time you go here, we look for changes. And if there is a change, we immediately see it and we make it part of the backup. And thus you can be more granular in undoing things as well. With this new system, you can save checkpoints. So instead of saying make backup, you now make a checkpoint, which is like a label for a really good state, and you can always go back to that state. And you can then like drill into individual policies and see what was changed exactly. Like, did the assignments change, or didn't? We copied a lot of things from our alignment engine into this one. So really, really nice feature. Again, this is out now. It came out in March. Things are moving pretty fast. Okay, policies. Policies settings are the core of Enforcer, right? We help you deploy that at scale. We've made a lot of progress also internally in how we handle policies. In the last month or so, we added really critical, highly requested Intune policies. But today I'm here to tell you there's a lot coming in April even, and then also following that, because we did a lot of work on how we add policies to the system. So, for example, I think in April you're going to see a lot around Teams. We're going to add some things around Exchange. We're going to add more Intune, including I think Windows Store apps, Android apps, iOS apps that you can align. And there's going to be much like a lot more coming. The cool thing that we did around policies is we've built technology to monitor Microsoft. So anytime Microsoft adds something to even preview, we will know about it, and our engineering team can decide to work on that immediately and make sure you're ready for when Microsoft makes it available to everyone. So a lot of work coming, a lot of new policies coming in even the next 2 weeks. And I think the key thing for me to ask you is, what else are you missing? Because like there's going to be like the things that you ask us for on the community, they're going to be done quickly. All right, so moving into exciting new functionality like territory. One of the things that the team is working on, and I hope we can release this very soon, is a feature called Intune Assignment Management. For those of you who do a lot with Intune, this is going to be a really big deal. If you roll out policies in like to a customer, like I don't know, disk encryption, it's never targeting everything immediately all at once, right? Like many of you like to think in risk management strategies, and you deploy something to a group of devices or users first, and then you expand the group and expand the group. Especially if you have like 5 or 10 policies, that's a lot of things that you need to update. You add, like you have to change the assignments all the time. Doing that in the Intune portals, like many other things, not a great experience. So we've built technology that allows you to see all your policies in one view, select them, and manage the assignments. You can either add new assignments, you can merge assignments, or remove existing assignments. You can do this in bulk. It's a really important feature also for other things that we're planning to work on pretty soon. But I've heard from some of our M365 architects that like this is a really important feature for anyone managing Intune day to day. So let me know how you think about this. Okay, a few more quick hits here on the helping you secure your tenants, and then we'll move into other areas. But the next one is probably smaller, but some people are really excited about this. We're improving our tagging, and tags, they drive a lot of things in Enforcer: policy tags and tenant tags. but it's sometimes quite cumbersome to manage the tags, to assign tags, or even to discover how to assign tags. So the team has made a lot of changes there that we're looking to ship pretty soon to make it easier to edit, so inline editing and see tags. There are a couple of other things that people have asked for, like bringing back the tags to the policy alignment page, so you can see the little tags there. So overall, a lot of really nice tagging improvements we're making pretty soon. But the big one is copy tags from shared baseline. This comes up all the time from customers deploying from our baselines. Because as soon as you deploy from a baseline right now, the tags that we've set, they don't make it across. So we're gonna just make that part of the journey of deploying policy. You can decide if you want to bring the tags along or not. So this I think should still be April even. So that's a really key change. And looking ahead, there are two more things that I wanna highlight that we're working towards too. One is the policy alignment. And you're like, well, Mate, you guys do that already. Well, yes, but hear me out. In December, we launched our new tenant alignment capability, right? So you can look at it like from like one tenant at a time compared to your baseline. That's great. But sometimes you want to look at a policy and look at all your tenants for that specific policy. And this is exactly what we're building here. So it's you select a policy and you will be able to go through all your different tenants and see, is there something similar already? Is there something that is perhaps the same but has a different name, etc.? You can align per policy rather than one tenant at a time. This is really good if you deploy new functionality to your customers. It is a little bit more, well, it's quite a bit more refined than using the deploy tool. The deploy tool just deploys a policy to all your tenants. This is more respecting what's there today. Okay, and then one more thing before I hand it off to Freddie. This month, on a very popular request, we're adding the capability which we call public onboarding link. And the public onboarding link is an interesting concept. It solves a need that many of you have. Well, there are multiple needs. One of them is prospecting. Sometimes you have a customer or a prospect that you want to run a tenant assessment against, or Copilot readiness assessment. Now, to get that tenant into Inforcer, you need to do a couple of things. One, you need to onboard that tenant, and you need to have the GA, global admin, to be able to do that. You might not have that. Second, to just do the assessment, you need to ask for full read-write permissions right now, which is also not ideal. You want to run a report and you ask the customer to give all like the permissions that are like it's way more than you need. So what we've done is something that solves both of those use cases, and it's a really elegant system. So in April, what you're going to be able to do is create one or more onboarding links in Inforcer. And these onboarding links, they're permanent. So you can share them with your sales team or your implementation team. And then by clicking on that onboarding link, someone will see a branded page. You can brand that page. You can say, hey, by clicking on this button, you're going to enroll the tenant into Inforcer. But that link can be opened by anyone. They have to fill in their own domain name and then click on authorize. But what happens after is so interesting to me. So you can decide if by following that link, you're going to ask for read-only permission or read-write. You can decide if the app that you install is temporarily, like only 2 days, for example, and it might take up like the free prospecting license, or you might say, this is actually fully read-write with a premium license. So you can use this as a way, and like some of our MSSP customers like to do this. They don't ever see the global admin permissions for their customers. They don't have GDAP, anything like that. So you can just send this link to anyone and they can self-onboard and you will never know a password. It's just amazing. And then as soon as this is done, you get a notification saying, hey, this tenant was just onboarded. Feel free to run the assessments and build the report that you need for your customers. We are deliberately not immediately showing the report to your customers because we want you to be able to look at the report, interpret it, perhaps provide some additional advice, and then go to the customer. So pretty excited about this one. Again, coming out in April. You don't need the tenant assessment license for it. You can use a prospecting license, but as soon as you use the tenant assessment license, you can keep the tenant in Inforcer, and you can run reports. You can run all the reports at a schedule. So there's still benefit of using that. Okay, that's me for like talking 20 minutes straight to all of you. Hopefully you found that interesting so far. You know what? I'm going to hand it off to Freddie to talk a little bit about what we've done and what we're doing around helping you with the day-to-day management. Freddie.
Thanks, Matteo. Yeah, you've been presenting for 20 minutes. I spent 20 minutes just solidly like replying to people in the chat and answering questions because, as always, we have like overwhelming engagement. But yeah, let's talk about what we've done recently around like helping you streamline your daily management as well as what's coming next as well. So in terms of what we shipped recently, if we go to the next slide, the first one is PSA integration. So when we think about a PSA, what is it? It is really the powerhouse of your business. Is where you run everything from. And people only half joke that if it's not in a ticket, does it even exist? So this, I think, was a really key capability we shipped early in Q1. Support for ConnectWise, Halo, Synchro, and Autotask PSA. And yeah, key thing here is, if you have alerts configured within the Enforcer platform for things like, drift alerts, that kind of thing, getting those straight into a PSA ticket, the specific board and queue with particular statuses and priorities to help match your operational workflow. No demo on this today because we've already released this, but key thing I mentioned is that ServiceNow was something that we're investigating to support sometime in the future as well. Moving swiftly on to scheduled reporting. This is another great update. I think 2 weeks ago. Time flies pretty fast here at Enforcer. When you think about reporting, it's really important for two main use cases. The first one is, any kind of operational reporting you might need to do internally in terms of, maintaining the health of your customers' environments, but also customer-facing reporting is so important. And within Enforcer, we've had a number of, incredibly valuable reports for some time now, but it's been manual. You've had to go into the interface, generate that report, and lots of clicks, lots of steps. Recently, we've released effectively a new scheduling engine as part of our broader platform architecture, and that means that all of these reports you can now schedule, whether that's daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, and have those delivered to emails that you specify. And we also added a number of other improvements behind the scenes. So the ability to target particular tenant tags. So as your business scales, the reports get generated for those customers. And also some really big sort of root and branch improvements to things like the PDF export experience, just to improve the ability to report value to your customers and just some nice UX enhancements, as well as the ability to export those reports as HTML. So if you've got any automation workflows or you want to make changes, HTML just makes it much easier to accomplish that. Moving swiftly on, because we've got a lot to go through. Let's talk about user management. So you can see here, user management V2. User management's been in the platform for a little while now, supporting key technician workflows around quickly being able to review user information, see how they're configured, and do very standard workflows like reset their password. But we've listened to your feedback and we want to do so much more. So just to go through a couple of examples, the ability to do more granular management of MFA, enabling or improving our offboarding capabilities, so being able to schedule that, for example, and improving the ability to create users in a smarter way using templates, and also other capabilities like managing licenses. I think the team is building some really great stuff here, so I can't say no to a quick demo of stuff that's actually on dev. So I bribed our engineering team to hopefully not turn dev off while I do this demo. So let me just make sure I share the right window. Give me 1 second. Here we go. So hopefully you can see my screen. So here I am with Bobby West. I need to do some management on this user. So a couple of things that I'll mention around this is firstly enhancements that we've done around managing MFA. So we've had a few capabilities here for a while where I could revoke all of his MFA capabilities in one fell swoop. And I've also been able to do things like reset his password for a while as well. What we're adding very, very soon is just a new tab where you can see all of their auth methods in one place. So you can see here everything, so like their password, he's got phones connected, pass keys, Microsoft Authenticator, and I can actually granularly review these and also revoke these methods as well. So let's say Bobby West, I don't think he actually needs a software token, so I can go request that to be deleted. And actually, let's say, in fact, Bobby needs to be terminated. Now, of course, today you can terminate this person immediately. You can offboard them right here and now. But something we'll be adding very, very soon is the ability to schedule this as well. So I can quickly click schedule, pick a time and place some point in the future. So maybe his last day is Friday at 5:30. And then set time zone and then schedule that offboarding as well. So really nice enhancement. And again, that kind of fits in with your workflow where, you can kind of do this there and then. You can, close that ticket and get on with your day. You don't need to remember to go and do that at that particular point in time. And this is just another example of where we're actually leveraging that scheduling architecture that we built for scheduled reporting. And we're looking at other potential scheduled tasks that we might want to support moving forwards as well. So that's all the demos for now from me. Matej, I think the next topic is maybe something you've talked about before a couple of times, something around device management.
Spoiler alert. Well, right. Taking back screen. There we are. Yeah, you're right. Like we have user management in the system now. But and we added group management and policy management, but I think the big missing entity is the device. And this is something we've been working on, and it's really exciting. We're effectively doing what we did with user management and bringing that to devices. So a couple of things. You're going to be able to get a dashboard showing all the different issues that you have with the devices. Like, are there devices that are not compliant, which is very common. But if they are not compliant, you can drill in and see why they're not compliant. We're actually going to look through all the different policies and figure out why you're not compliant. But also devices with enrollment issues or security issues. And from all of those dashboards, but also the new devices page, you can drill in and get to a device page, much like how Freddie just showed you the user page. And on that device page, you'll be able to run specific actions, like get me all the BitLocker keys, give me the labs credentials, run a quick Defender scan, or even like retire this from Intune. And everything you do is, of course, logged and it respects RBAC permissions. But this is a really, really nice addition that is going to come, and it's going to open up a lot of new capabilities. So that's device management. If you want to know more about that, I think we have a thread going on in the Discord community with some more screenshots of what you can expect. Love to hear your thoughts on what you want to see there. So the team is actively working on this. The next big thing is application management. This is something that a lot of you have asked for. I must say, it's like the customer base is probably 50-50 on this. Some people say, well, I have another tool for this. Inforcer, don't bother. But the people that do application management through Intune, they all want additional help. So what we're doing here is pretty interesting. First, there are some things that we're going to support in our policy engine, and that's going to be really soon. Mobile apps, Windows Store apps or web links, things like that, Office, that are effectively just settings, and they're pretty easy to align across different tenants. You're going to be able to do that. But then there are apps like the Win32 apps that always are a lot of, like, they offer a lot of complexity to you. It's pretty difficult to create and update Win32 apps. So we are going to make that easier for you. You're going to be able to pick applications from the library of applications, and there are going to be a lot of applications pre-packaged in that library, or you can add your own apps to that library and you can deploy them across multiple tenants. And then you can also decide if like an app is already under management to keep that app up to date automatically through Inforcer. So based on like regular checks, if there's a new app available, we're gonna update the existing tenants with that managed app. So that's a definitely a big deal that we're working towards to pretty soon. So a lot of things around helping you with the day-to-day activities, and just overall security. There's a lot more. We only picked some of the highlights. There's a lot more that we're working on. But today specifically, we wanted to talk a little bit more about AI and Copilot. And of course, there's no one better to talk about that than Freddie. So, Freddie, what do we have? What have we been cooking here?
We have been cooking a few bits and pieces. Cool. But first, let's level set and just kind of talk a bit about the context of the market today. So when I think about MSPs and the AI journey that you're on, and of course, this is like really top level, there's kind of like three buckets as we see it: readiness, adoption, and then custom agents. When we think about readiness, this is kind of that rush to get customers ready for AI. You know, a customer picks up the phone and says, "Hey, Mr. MSP, I'm really excited about Copilot. I would like to use it today." And you look at their environment and you're like, I'm not really sure where to start. You know, what's healthy, what's not, what's the best practice? How do we get them on, you know, the right footing to kind of progress and start using Copilot in a way that's, you know, safe, secure, scalable, sustainable? Then there's adoption and impact. And this is where, as you take customers down their AI journey with things like Copilots, how do you actually understand, are they actually using it? Are they getting ROI? What impact is it actually driving on that customer's bottom line? And how do you prove that? And that's been a problem space that we've been investigating as well. And then there's, you know, on the right-hand side, more around custom agents. You know, more and more we can see MSPs engaging with things like Copilot Studio, the underlying Power Platform, but also more advanced capabilities like Fabric, Microsoft Foundry to build truly custom autonomous agents. And this is a bit of a maturity spectrum in many ways. Most of the market is, I think, still on the left-hand side of here, where it's focused around readiness, you know, helping people understand what they can use AI to do, like what problems they can solve. But increasingly, we can see that MSPs are standardizing their managed services around AI and thinking around, okay, once we've got a customer using Copilot, let's say, how do we help them succeed? How do we make this an ongoing engagement where we can help them achieve their business objectives, but then start talking about other opportunities like custom agents, which of course can be significant business opportunities. So keep these three areas in mind as we go through this. So Copilot readiness, if we look back, this is something that we focused on a lot on the roadmap in the tail end of last year. What is Copilot readiness? I always showcase this Maslow's hierarchy of needs kind of esque pyramid, which of course has no scientific basis, but it's a good talking point nonetheless. So at the bottom, you've got use cases. Fundamentally, people are excited about AI, but it can't just be about the tech and it can't just be about shiny new things. It has to be solving identified use cases. It has to be solving a real world problem. And that just has to be a key part of the discussion, whether that's a workshop with your customers or talking to them, like what their business objectives are. It has to point towards that. Then the security. Is their tenant secure enough for Copilot? The thing with Copilot or any AI, it amplifies any problems that exist in their environment, and security has to be number one. If someone gets into that environment, is there some kind of threat actor? They can use Copilot fundamentally to identify sensitive data and then exfiltrate it. So security has to be top of mind. Then there's data governance. How is their data estate managed? I think this is pretty key. I think over the past 10 years, data governance, unless you've been in like a highly regulated industry, has kind of never really been top of mind. But now everyone's thinking around how can we make sure the permissions are configured correctly? How can we make sure that SharePoint is healthy and fit for use in the age of AI? And then there's things like technical readiness. Are users and devices technically ready? Have they got the right licenses? Are they on the right version of Windows, etc., etc.? And then there's kind of like the rollout plan. What happens next? Once you've kind of ticked all these boxes, who actually gets it first? And this kind of leads through to the adoption impact piece, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. But when we think about some things that we've built and shipped here recently, capabilities like Copilot Readiness, which came out Q4 last year. This is a great tool where you can run this assessment effectively on your tenants, and it does a few different things. Firstly, it identifies opportunity for you. So it looks at the adoption of M365 across that customer base, and it identifies different users, how they're adopting M365, and it identifies potential candidates. And based on different data that exists in their tenant, so for example, job titles, departments, that kind of thing, it suggests potential use cases. How could a salesperson use Copilot? How could a marketing person use Copilot? It then looks at different configurations across their tenant and across SharePoint around things like data governance, security, technical readiness, and provides recommendations according to business best practice of what you can do to start, that customer on their Copilot readiness journey and sort of, hit the ground running in the right way. But of course, we want to go,
Well, I
further
think the
with
key
Copilot.
thing here to highlight, Freddie, is the reporting release actually had a massive impact in Copilot readiness as well, because now you have much better looking PDFs and the HTML output. So if you looked at this a while ago, you're like, well, it's not for me, check it out again. We've done a lot of work on this one as well.
Yeah,
But
that's
yeah.
a great point. Thank you, Matej. But of course, we don't want to just keep with Copilot readiness. So something that we've been cooking up, as you said, Matej, over the past couple of months has basically been running a closed alpha, a closed beta with a set number of customers. And the first area there has been around Copilot adoption. So something that we've talked about with many of you is, once you start rolling out Copilot to your customers, you don't really have effective visibility of, is it configured correctly? Are people using it? What value are they actually getting? And so this starts off with dashboards per customer, where you can see things like, are their licenses provisioned correctly? Are they actually using it? And how is that trending over time? So we've produced things like a Copilot adoption score. We're segmenting users based on how much of Copilot they use, and also showing trends around what features are used across that whole customer. And this basically means, let's say for your account management team, they can have much more data-driven discussions around what the opportunities are for, let's say, training or other kind of consultation to help them get the most out of their Copilot investments, but also talk about potential upsell, cross-sell opportunities. Maybe there's other people in their team who don't have a Copilot license yet, and they might benefit from it as well. Key thing here is right now it's a dashboard. We definitely want to be creating customer facing like PDF reports for this as well. And that'll be coming down the pipe very, very soon. And very similarly to Copilot adoption, thank you, Matej, is the topic of shadow AI. Shadow AI is a really interesting one. I think by and large, everyone knows that shadow AI is a problem. If you look at the industry stats, the use of shadow AI is pretty much 100% in most orgs. Whether people know it or not, everyone has been using something that technically they probably shouldn't be using. So fundamentally, what we've built here is an integration into Defender Cloud Discovery. So that's included within Business Premium. And so we can basically visualize the use of shadow AI within those tenants. And so we can see things like who's actually using different generative AI apps, how many sessions are occurring, how much data is being transferred, which of these apps are high risk, because we're leveraging the Defender catalog, which is 31,000 plus applications. And so it means that per user, per department, application views, we can kind of help you talk customers through what risks around shadow AI actually exist in their environment, and also how that usage is changing as well. So it's a great starting point for security, compliance conversations. But also you could think about giving this kind of report to your sales team, because what better way to kickstart a Copilot project than showing how everyone's using AI anyway. And maybe they should use something which is well governed and secure out the box rather than a third party tool. So really excited about this. I can already see a couple of people asking, like, when is this coming out? Because you mentioned it's been a closed beta for a few weeks. So if Matej, if you go to the next slide, we're actually going to be making this available to everyone tomorrow. So it'll be an open beta. You can go in, you can enable this in your account. So we'll be, giving instructions and, documenting this so you can go through and start leveraging this functionality and deploying it to your customer environments.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Let me say one thing. There's nothing like this. I've looked around. There's nothing like this focused on MSPs to help you deliver this like Copilot as a service. We're still calling it a beta because we'd love to work with you and figure out what other problems we can solve for you. And there are a couple of other things that Freddie will be talking about in a minute. But we think it's going to really help you sell also the rest of the security story. So we decided to just include this in the regular product, right? This is not an additional license. You can just use it for any tenant you have in Enforcer. You can start doing shadow AI detection or Copilot adoption monitoring immediately. Really, the only thing you need is making, like for shadow AI, making sure you have business premium. But yeah, so that's definitely a big deal. You want me to go to the next one, Freddie? Or
Yes, please. Yeah. So we're also not stopping there. So when I talked about Copilot readiness, obviously there's a few different areas. And of course, data governance is a big part of the puzzle here. Every conversation that I have around AI and like the weekly changes, it actually secretly becomes a meeting about SharePoint somehow. So this is something that we really want to kickstart and build a capability for, because it's part and parcel with every Copilot readiness, but we know it's such a bottleneck for any kind of professional services engagement. This is going to include a number of capabilities, the ability to scan a SharePoint environment, including SharePoint, OneDrive, M365 groups, and Teams as well, and to uncover insights around potential risks with oversharing, exposure of sensitive information, unique permissions that maybe you need to rectify, as well as the overall configuration of how SharePoint is configured. Is that matching best practice, your SOPs, the SOPs of your customers as well? So yeah, it'll be really exciting to build that and share a bit more on this in the coming weeks. And the key thing about us as well, and this goes across everything we do at Enforcer, not just within the realms of how we can help you succeed in the age of AI, is API first. This is something that we've talked about a couple of times now. I think since our last roadmap webinar, we've tripled the number of endpoints in our REST API. So hopefully we are keeping good on our promise. Fundamentally, it isn't.
Yeah, I mean, we're still preparing for a world where you don't need the Enforcer UI, right? Like this ties nicely into the Copilot story, Freddie. Yeah.
No, exactly. As much as I hate to say it, I think it would be great if people can use Enforcer without even logging or actually looking at our interface. But the question here isn't, which endpoints we add. It's just how quickly we can add those. So recently we've added new ones around alignment details, activity logs, users and groups, roles, and we'll be looking to continuously add these over the next weeks and months. Not just the ability to get information, but also to make changes via the API as well. So watch this space. And I can't talk about the API.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you there because I do want to give a bit of a nudge to Roy Closter, who works for Enforcer, and his PowerShell toolkit, the community project that he launched, because it uses our API, but he did some really amazing things on top of our API. But it's just, if you like PowerShell and you occasionally find yourself in a position where you just want to grab all the policies from Enforcer, or you want to grab all the users and check their licenses or something, check out that PowerShell toolkit that is on GitHub. So it's a really nice extension of this. But yeah, sorry to interrupt your flow there.
That is totally fine. And no, I think it's a fantastic call out because it's all about helping people get the information they need to do their jobs right. And yeah, we can't talk about the REST API without talking about the MCP server. This is something that we actually had a hackathon recently where we built an MCP server. So we've been playing around with this capability. And yeah, this is something that, as we build out the REST API, building MCP capability on top of this, it really unlocks so many different workflows, whether that's custom reporting. If you want to extract our reports, put them into a different language. Really, the sky's the limit when you can integrate it with natural language.
So I must confess, I think we have a pretty technical audience here today, but going from API to MCP in one sentence, it's not the best topic at a birthday party. I'll say that. Most people get lost there. But MCP is of course the interface to all the LLMs, right? It's really, we've done some really cool things with this. But yeah, thanks for highlighting. Oh, we're at wrap up already. So this was a bit of a whirlwind tour. We have covered a lot of ground, and I started off by talking about all the things we've done recently, right? In the last couple of months, we are at an incredible velocity right now. The team is growing, the product is growing. We're partnering actively with many of you. A lot of new MSPs are joining Inforcer every day. We showed a lot of things that are coming. Most of the things are pretty soon as well. We're working on a lot of different things, like Copilot Manager. That's tomorrow for all of you, and there's a lot more coming in April. But I did want to give that historical perspective because it gives you a little bit of faith that whatever we're talking about here today is also something we're really planning to. But there are other things. What we like is to keep the conversation going. We'll have a bit of time here, even in today, to talk about some of the questions you have. But if you have to drop off early, or you think about something in like later tonight, click on feedback and roadmap in the product. It takes you to our roadmap product where you can vote for things, suggest new ideas, see what we're cooking, etc. So that's definitely something to call out. Now let's see if there are, I mean, Freddie, you have been answering a lot of questions. I must say I've not been monitoring it. Is there anything that we need to talk about? I see a bunch of questions. It's funny because I see questions come in about MCP, like are there any plans to provide MCP or when is it available? So clearly you answered that already in the presentation.
I'm just having a look through the questions. We've had a good team doing a real shift answering all these questions, Mate.
Will Inforcer be adding API access for the Intune/device management functionality? I think that's a good question. Like from Bill, our view is this: like we still have a lot of catching up to do. There's still a lot of things that are not in the API. Well, even though I think the top requests have been added, but in the future when we add new functionality, it should also be available in the API at launch. There are a couple of things that we're doing there before we add more like dangerous workflows, like ability to do things like creating a user or doing something like that. And that is we're adding more authentication options. So right now it's all secret based, and we're adding more like of an OAuth workflow for the more sensitive actions. Any plans to avoid policy drifting? I think that's another thing. Like, of course, we have alerts right now, and you have like the ability to remediate it. But part of the new scheduling engine and the work we've done recently, and like we didn't have a slide for it today, is also to get us ready to automatically correct things when they drift. So this is going to be tag based. So you will tag policies, and because not everything you want to remediate automatically. It could actually cause harm if you say, hey, just force this baseline, and anytime there's a change, remediate it. So you're going to be able to tag all your policies or certain policies and say, if this changes, immediately flip it back to the previous state. So that's definitely coming. Will you be adding to your purview controls? I mean, of course, many of them have been answered already, Freddie. Let's see if we have more questions. Let me see. New posts.
We've got a question about the app management piece and whether that would pull through vulnerabilities with those applications.
I think there's a roadmap for it. The initial view is like, so you have the Defender vulnerability information, which is a separate source of information, of course, where that also might become very noisy, but we have ideas for that. Our initial focus is to help you keep your Intune library up to date with the latest and greatest, so you don't have to do all of that like manually. And that should, of course, already impact all your vulnerabilities automatically. But there are two other areas that we're considering there. One, as part of device management, we're going to be able to look at a lot of the asset information, including what applications are installed on an app, on a device. And one of the biggest discrepancies that we see, of course, is you might have 10 applications in your Intune library, but 1,000 in the field. So even though you update your applications in your Intune library, that doesn't mean you close off all your vulnerabilities on all your endpoints. So there's a gap there that we're also looking at. So yeah, and that also Defender, we're looking at that, but that is not part of the V1. Okay, so that's actually a quite timely topic. RBAC, we spoke about that also today. I'd love to hear more feedback either here or on our Discord or roadmap product around role-based access controls. We see more and more users in the product every day, and with that comes desire for more nuanced security, right? Of course, we have the engineer level, the admin level, and the read-only level, and you can combine them and layer them based on individual tenants, etc. It's pretty sophisticated, but a request come in all the time for more custom RBAC, which is something that we're investigating right now. Like what kind of controls would you want? How would you want to create those roles? But that's definitely on our radar, something that you should expect us to do. Will the tenant report also be available in scheduled reporting? Yes. We didn't do that with the new reporting engine because the way that report is generated it's very different. Right now, we didn't want to take it away, but our team is working towards getting that into the new reporting engine so you can then schedule it. We're also looking at possible ways if we can make branding a bit easier for you so you don't have to do it per report. But I don't have a timeline available for that. Any plans to bring custom policies so we're able to write our own code or policy? No plans. I'm curious to hear what you would do with it. We are thinking about, of course, adding a lot more policies and settings, but custom policies, not necessarily. We should support all of them. Ooh, I think we covered a lot of ground here. I think we're gonna. Yeah, there's one more question, which is also a common one around the assessment engine and the ability to use your own baselines. On the assessment engine, I mean, first of all, we're doing a lot of work there to bring you new assessments pretty soon. Like what we're working on is introducing new CIS assessments, both for Intune devices, bringing that one into the product, and supporting the latest CIS, what is it, 6.1. But at the same time, we're adding new assessments around, for example, NIS2, following what we've done for our Australian customers with Essentials 8. We have not found a really good way yet to allow you to assess, to build your own custom assessments based on your baseline. The technologies are very different, and what we're checking for is very different. So I know we have some requests around that, but we're still trying to figure out how we can make that work. The way we see it right now, the assessment engine is very much on the front end. We help you check what's out there and help you paint a picture around compliance. And then with the alignment, we of course deploy the policies, etc. There's definitely some overlap there, but the quick assessments looking for outcomes it's not exactly the same as making sure all your policies are perfectly configured with the right naming and everything. It's there's a bit of a gap there, and there are certain things that we can only read, for example, and we can do that with assessments, but not with the alignment feature. Okay, I think we we covered so much here today, Freddie. I think that's it for today. Just want to thank you all for being a customer, sharing your feedback. It really helps make our lives easier, makes a better product. Cheers for being here and taking an hour of your time today. Let us know how else we can help you. Like, we're always looking for feedback. As you can hopefully tell, we're very passionate about building a better product. There's a lot of stuff that we're working on, so we can't promise you everything tomorrow, but the velocity is really high. And I'm really excited about the rest of the year. So thank you so much, and have a great day.
See ya.